Hello, Matt. Could you please give an introduction about yourself?
Okay. Um, well, I'm a landscape designer who joined the real world 2 years ago. Well, 2 years and a couple of months. It was right at the beginning of the real world. So it was November of 2022. And thing is that I was working as a landscape designer at a few companies locally, which weren't really going anywhere. And I always kind of disliked having a job and having bosses and stuff like that. So I joined not really knowing how much work it was going to be to get something going. And, but I got everything all set up and I took the courses and stuff like that. And what's funny is I joined the end of November and January 5th, I got laid off from my job. So I was like halfway set up and I was like, okay, well, I have to figure out how to make this work now. So I basically just put everything into it. I was working like all day, literally all day for months, just trying to get as much money as possible. It was really slow at first, and I was working this like terrible laptop that I was thought I was gonna melt or something like that, and it just took basically months of struggle, and eventually it started turning, and I started making more money than I had been at whatever job I was at, and that's where I'm at now. So now I'm like working with people all over the country and I've upgraded all my equipment and I actually kind of know what I'm doing now. Whereas when I was working under supervisors at jobs, I kind of wasn't really learning that much.
Mhm.
So I guess that's kind of the intro I would give for myself.
And what an intro indeed. So you said laid off. Was there a specific reason for the layoff, or was the company just doing badly, so they fired people?
It was the reason they gave me was just because it was winter. So it was a landscape company. But to be honest, I kind of understand why they did because I felt like I was hired without them having like use for me, and I just didn't really make them very much money. Probably, I probably cost more money than I made them, and so when they were just getting rid of people,
Mhm.
I was one of the people that they chose.
Okay. And what made you decide to join the railroad back in November of 22?
I think I saw. I can't remember what video it was, but I saw just a video talking about it. I was like, okay, well, I want to make my own money. I'd been watching the Andrew Tate stuff. Sorry, my cat's just messing around in the background. I'd been like watching Andrew Tate videos and seeing the whole like controversy and trying to figure out what his deal was basically. And I guess just started liking what he was saying.
Mhm.
And so when I heard him talk about it, and, oh, it was him talking with a whiteboard. He was like, I'm going to explain how money works. And I was just like, okay, I don't want to work. I don't like working jobs. I want to work for myself. This sounds easy. I'll just go join this thing, and in a couple of months, I'll be making way more money, twice as much as I'm making at this job, probably. And it didn't work out exactly that way, but I'm glad I did.
Eventually, eventually
Yeah,
you
eventually.
did. Okay, so we'll get to that. Which campuses did you join when you first got into the railroad?
I don't remember what it was called back then, but it's the SMCA
Freelancing.
campus now,
Nice.
and also Business Mastery, the one with Arno.
Mhm.
Those are the two I really spent the most time in. But the freelancing campus, I think it was just the freelancing
Yeah.
campus. That's if I've spent 95% of my time in there.
Okay. And what did you apply from the lessons? What did you end up building for your own service? And I'll leave it there for now. I'll continue a bit later.
Okay. Well, it taught me literally how to put together like an Instagram page and how to actually use Instagram and start messaging people, how to message them, how to like what the process is. So follow them, like a few of their posts and send them a DM, and then how to follow up. And I mean, it's taught me a lot of different stuff. I couldn't even begin to bring it all up, but kind of just also how to be disciplined about a lot of things and how to approach working with businesses, over deliver, be consistent, stuff like that.
Yep. And in terms of a skill, did you end up doing a skill you already knew, or did you learn a new skill within SMCA, which you now do?
So I already knew the skill, which was actually 3D modeling and 3D rendering. And yeah, I already just knew that from the jobs that I had been working.
Mhm. And okay, so you learn outreach, you learn social media. How did you actually apply it? What did you end up doing? Did you build a personal brand, or did you do cold DMing? What path did you take?
I do cold DMing. So I
And
built an Instagram, just post my work. I had a logo that I made like years ago that I just kind of slapped on there, and literally just started posting stuff that I had made and reaching out to people.
Mhm. And then, how roughly how many outreaches did you need to do before you got your first client? And what was that like actually getting and acquiring them?
I'm not actually sure how many I sent out. I have no idea.
Not even a rough guess.
Maybe I want to say like 150 to 200, but I really have no idea. The first ones that I sent out were terrible. They were like essays, like just gigantic blocks of text to people that like couldn't even use my service. Like I was sending stuff to people who their pages weren't even in English. They're in Spanish and I can't speak Spanish. But yeah, so I actually have no idea. It felt like a lot, but I feel like if I went back and looked at it, it'd probably be like 50 or something. But it felt like a lot.
Mhm.
But the first one, it felt, I don't want to say amazing, but it definitely gave me a lot of hope because, like I said, I had gotten laid off. So I was pretty desperate for money. The first invoice I ever sent out was for $87.50 on PayPal. And it was really like not a great, it was like a starter client. Like it was cheap work. Um, but I also was like, somebody's gonna, because it was half, so I did the deposit. So 87.50. I'm pretty sure it's a half of 150 or something like that. That doesn't work out. I don't know how much I charged.
What's-
It was something like that. But the motto is basically like, if I can do this once, I can just do this a bunch of times and make enough money.
Mhm. And what did you actually do for them from the 3D modeling and rendering?
So they had a 3D model of they were architects and they did barn dominiums, which are big houses that are shaped like barns. It's a very weird thing, but I guess they're really popular in like Texas. But they had a 3D model of one of their designs and they sent it to me and I put it in my rendering software and I made it look nice, basically.
So that was just the right timing, I guess. Like they needed that, and you came along, and they're like, "Ah, this is perfect, exactly what we needed."
No, I don't think so actually. I think it was because I said it might increase your sales. And they were like, "All right, well we'll try it." That was
I
pretty
guess
much
yeah,
how it was.
it was cheap enough to just give it a try.
Yeah,
Cool.
pretty much. And they used me for like 3 or 4 projects like that. But then
So
eventually just kind of died off.
it probably did increase their sales then if they tried again.
I don't know if it did, to be honest.
All right. And then yeah, so you just continued outreaching more after that because you found out so this is actually possible. I can continue doing this, um, and I guess you got more confidence with it, so you could charge higher as well, right?
Yeah, and like I got more involved projects. So the first good client, not that those people were not good to me, it's just that it was like it was too small, like the work was too small. But the first good client I got, which I still work with him, I got on a Zoom call and I talked with him. I remember like it was only like 2 or 3 weeks after I lost my job. And it seemed like he had a lot of work for me, which he did, and that it was going to be good, which it was. And I literally like I got off the Zoom call and I like jumped like into that corner right there, and I did like the Tebow pose or something like that. Like it felt really good. That one was good. What was your question again?
I guess uh, how much did you start charging later as you got more confidence
Oh, okay.
and for what? So you're on the right track.
Yeah, so I started with that client that I just talked about. I was doing like $300 um, to $400 per project. At the beginning, I kept like upcharging him though, which really wasn't good. I'm surprised that he continued working with me. I was like charging him like, oh, this will be $50 more for this revision. This one will be 75 more. I don't do that anymore. I just tell them it's going to be this much money. But anyway, $300 to $400, and now 2 years later, I'm doing more like $800 or $900, and I've gotten so much faster at it. Like a project that used to take me like 2 weeks or 3 weeks of just constant work will take me like a couple of days.
Good, good. Uh, if you were to say what kind of projects you work on now, because so far you've given an example of rendering. So what else do you do with 3D modeling and rendering? Again, as an example.
So there's two, like actually three. There's like two main kind of projects I have, whereas somebody has a design and I just talk with them. What's your design going to be? What are all the materials going to be? What's the plants going to be? And they send me pictures of the property, and I model the whole property, and I create their design in a 3D model so that they can basically either sell it or just like sell the project. Like if it's $100,000 project, it'll like win them the project if the homeowner likes it. Or also they can use it to just show their customer what the project is going to be, and they can make changes and kind of plan and stuff like that. So that's one kind. And the other kind is I actually make the design. So, and those ones are the highest I've charged for one of those is $2,500. And but those ones I'm actually working as the landscape designer, and I mostly do those in California and also in British Columbia. And that's something that I actually didn't know how to do until I started doing this stuff online, because I didn't know how plants worked. I didn't know how to I didn't know how to design anything. But I ended up meeting this one client who, the first time I talked to him, he was like, "Do you know how plants work? Like, do you know how to put gardens together?" And I said, "No." And he gave me a project anyway and had me design it. And he kind of like started mentoring me and just teaching me how to do everything that I know how to do now. But yeah, basically, those are the two types of projects. I also work with architects, and that's similar to the first kind, but it's with architecture.
Okay, very cool. Uh, did you get any referrals after a while, or have all your clients been just through outreach?
I got one referral. once.
And the rest
Everything else.
has been cold outreach, basically.
Yep.
Oh wow! And if you would say so, in total, since you began the 3D modeling and rendering, what have you made so far?
It's something like $80,000 or 90. So the first year I made like $38,000, which was okay. Last year I made around 45,000, but then this year so far I've made like 13,000. So I'm aiming for 60,000 this year. But yeah, I think in total that's something like 80,000.
Okay, very cool. So it's something you do on the side then, while you're working on something else.
What, like have a job?
Mhm.
No, this is the I do this. This is the only thing I do. I also play music and make money through that once in a while, but this is the main thing.
Ah, so you purely sustain yourself off this then. You don't have any other job.
Yep.
Okay, cool, cool. So it really keeps you busy then throughout the day, or is it just
Yeah.
something that doesn't actually take up that much time?
No, it's a 40-hour work week. And
Hmm.
before like June of last year, I was probably doing 50 or 60 hours.
Mhm. Cool. So what does your average day look like now then, compared to let's say before you joined the real world, just to show a contrast there?
Um, well, right now, my days are super weird. So I have some personal responsibilities that I attend to during the day. So I actually don't start work until 6 o'clock at night, usually. So I'll get up at like 7 or 8 and I take care of what I need to take care of. And then I start at 6 and then I just put on like focus music or white noise and I just work until 2 o'clock in the morning.
Uh,
But before, I'll tell you what my schedule was like before my days got all crazy. Is I used to get up at 6. I would run to the park. I have a park in town. It's like a half a mile away. I do chin ups, sit ups, chin ups, push ups, and squats. Run back, do my outreach stuff. Then I'd like do my morning routine, and then I'd work from 9 to 5. Then just have a few hours for like family and stuff like that, and then I would get back on at like 8 or 9, and I would just do outreach, and then I
mhm.
go to sleep.
So you had the One Punch Man workout routine,
Pretty much, yeah.
but you didn't go bold. You didn't push yourself hard enough.
No, I didn't.
I'm joking. All right. Earlier you mentioned Tate and listening to what he was saying, whether it's lessons, podcasts, anything. So, would you have anything to say for what kind of an impact he has had on you?
Well, I definitely would be doing something different for money. But also, like, I don't know, I kind of lump him in with people like David Goggins or even like Jordan Peterson or Wim Hof, like all these people that I listen to on the internet who they're kind of like weird outliers, but it's kind of like they have their entire philosophy and you kind of like put it on like a suit. And what his is very work very hard, say things that you believe even if they're controversial, always do the courageous thing. And really, a big thing was like stand by your word. So if I told somebody I'm going to do something, like I have to do it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I'm not perfect about that, but I think it's helped me in business because if I told somebody like, "Oh, this will be $200 and I can get it done in 3 days," and then I look at it and I realize like that was way too low and I need more time, I'll just stay up until like 6 o'clock in the morning and do it and just be like, okay, well, it sucks. And also just do stuff that sucks because that's good for you. And you're supposed to do those things and take care of the people that you care about.
Mhm. Okay.
I
Great.
don't think that that's like the thing that a lot of people think about him because he says some stuff that is kind of scary, actually.
In what way?
But, well, like, he's a big, scary guy. You know what I mean? And he says, like, stuff about a lot of, like, crazy topics that people shy away from. But I don't know. There's, like, two sides to him. You know what I mean?
Okay. I think I'll leave that there then. All right. Then, since you're on this trajectory, where do you see your life heading, and what plans do you have for short term, medium term, and long term?
Sorry, can you repeat that one more time?
For future plans and goals, what do you have in mind, short term, medium term, and long term?
Oh, okay. Well, I just hired an outreacher, and so I'm just gonna basically I have enough work to keep me way too busy right now, and I'm starting to actually charge the prices that I need to make a good amount of money. But I want to make it so that I have way too much work and way too many opportunities, and also see how much I can even charge these people. Like, I feel like I haven't. I usually charge a little too small. So I guess that's the short term. Medium term, would I get? I guess that would be like this year. I want to start doing local projects where I'm working with contractors and on site putting the projects together. But there's a lot of stuff I need to do for that. But I do want to at least have one this year because all my stuff is online and sometimes it feels a bit sketchy to be relying on somebody who's in like California to keep sending me work. And then, well, that would be like medium term, long term. I'm not really sure. I don't want to build like a big giant business. I'm not really like a business person. I just kind of want to have like two or three or four people that I work with and take care of them and just I don't know. That one's not that fleshed out.
Cool. Because just wondering, before you said don't want to work for a boss, and now you said you're not really a business guy. So you just mean just having a small business then, basically. Like you're not
Yeah,
working for yourself, but on a small scale is fine.
yeah.
Great.
And that could change. I mean, I never thought I would be doing this, so
I guess we'll see with time.
yeah.
And if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
28.
28. So I'm not sure how relevant this is. Usually I ask it to younger guys, but do your parents have any opinions on what you're doing?
My dad encourages me. He had a business when I was growing up. My mom encourages me too, but they both are kind of like, you could probably make a lot of money if you get a job and it'd be really secure and stable.
So stable that you get laid off. Sure.
Well, at this point, I'd probably get a good job because of the stuff that I've learned, but I don't know. But they like encourage me, but they also want me to, I guess, do the safe, practical thing. But I always tell them like, I think I could make like a lot of money with this. They're like, okay, you should see how much you can make at a job. You know, they have benefits, stuff like that. But my dad will be like, you know, when you own your own business, people respect you more. And it's not great having a boss. And it's fun, like seeing how much money you can make your own hours, stuff like that.
Okay, cool. So I'm happy to wrap up with a final question then.
Okay.
For people who are unsure about joining the real world, with the experience you've had in the past 2 years, what advice would you have to them?
If they're not sure about joining,
Yeah, let's say they're thinking, what if it might be a scam for $50 or anything like that?
I guess if they're thinking of that, I would say spend the $50 and see if you can make $50. And if you can't make $50, then just quit. Well, I would say don't just quit. But I mean it in the sense of like you can make $50 in a month if you really try. And if you don't try and you're just like, oh, this is a scam, then just find something else to do. But it's not a scam. I had my own like worries about that, I guess, coming into it. And I just genuinely tried. And it really, I guess it did take me more than a month to make $50. But by the time I really needed to make money, I was able to make it in like a couple weeks
Mhm.
because I was trying really hard.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'd say that.
your boats were burned. You didn't have another choice unless you needed to look for another job. It was either find another job or make this work.
Yeah, but I was applying to like PetSmart and stuff like that. So I was
Ah,
like, okay, I don't want to do that.
yeah. Okay.
But yeah,
Cool. So thank you for coming on and sharing your story. Pretty
yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
Uh,
Thanks for inviting
Getting
me.
80K from 3D modeling and rendering. Pretty cool that, yeah, you didn't give up on outreaching. Some people might do like 20 or 30 and then be discouraged and think, well, this isn't working. But you just kept going until it worked. And then
Yeah,
it does work and continue doing it. And here you are now. And now you've outsourced that part. So hopefully that works out well and you
yeah,
continue scaling. Um, I guess, yeah, thank you for coming on and sharing your story. And I
yeah.
wish you the best in the future.
Thank you. You too.